I think it's not code red because
Well, red was the bad one. So
yes, but it's not a code red because there's no immediate replacement to immediately take over. It's not like,
no,
unlike if it was Victor Font who was president, you don't know that Xavi is going to walk in through that door the very next day and take on the
yeah,
project. So it's as code orange. I think it's as code red as far as his job security, but it's as code orange as when he's going to get relieved of
yeah,
his duties, just due to the fact that Laporta's choice is Jordi Cruyff. He has said no. And then all the other names we've had thrown out there, Robert Martinez, and these change by the hour, but Robert
yeah,
Martinez for the Belgian national team, Eric Ten Hag is not coming from Ajax. Andrea Pirlo, of course, flamed out when he was a club legend at Juventus as the manager coming back, and that already didn't work out. Antonio Conte
yeah.
is a free agent, and if Culés don't want to see Ronald Koeman at the helm, I can tell you that Antonio Conte's tactics are not going to make anybody happy. Then
No, I was going
Marcelo
to say
Bielsa is not going to lead Leeds. Xavi is, and that's the really one we're questioning and talking about. And then
yeah.
Philip Koku, he's another, well, it's like quote unquote club legend, but he's not. He's one of the top 50 players. But
He's of the club, or to an extent, yeah.
Of the club, a former Dutch, not even former, but he's a Dutch manager who was last with Derby County in the championship, and that didn't really work out so well. And then Garcia Pimienta, because he was let go, can't even be an interim, and he's not the choice. He's now working for Cadena Ser. That's why we keep saying all the stuff from Garcia Pimienta and all these comments. So I gave you that whole list. But it seems like there's a lot of, well, this is why this guy won't work. This is why this guy won't work. This is why this guy won't work. And it seems like the reports that I believe that the next guy is going to be for the long haul. How's that going to happen if Koeman isn't let go in not even January, but at the end of the season?
Well, I mean, my presumption is that he's going to get the season for the simple fact of what you said. There's not an in-house replacement that, like you said, whether it's Pimienta or someone on Koeman's staff that, is rumored to be, really working well with the players and, might be a bright up and comer or something like that. So there's not an in-house replacement ready to go. And then, like you said, so Ten Hag and Roberto Martinez are probably happier. I mean, almost certainly happier in their jobs than they would be stepping into this Barcelona at this moment. And particularly Roberto Martinez, for all of his shortcomings as a manager, he's got a legitimate shot at winning a World Cup next summer. I don't imagine he is going to walk away from, or, next, whatever it is, next Christmas or whenever we're doing that. But I don't imagine he's going to walk away from the Belgian national team. Eric Ten Hag's not coming. I don't know why. I mean, the Andrea Pirlo thing, just he wasn't even good. He wasn't good at the club that loved him. So I feel like that would just be an absolute just train wreck here. Look, Antonio Conte, I think the world, the kind of Culés and the club and everybody, if everyone's just kind of making a practical business decision and he essentially comes in as a long-term interim sort of thing where finish up this season.
I don't know if I can handle it. I don't think I can handle it.
Oh, look, it would not be fun, but at the very least, I think the results would pick up. So I think it would be, but I think it would be right. But I think it would be a practical decision in the sense of, okay, this guy is absolutely going to, like, it's going to grind. It's really going to grind us into dust here, but he's going to get results, and we're going to at least, sort of secure the league position that at least something acceptable to potentially good. And in big games, he might be able to kind of tactic us through an extra round of the Champions League that we might otherwise not have gotten through, type of thing. So, I mean, because it does feel like everything's just I feel like this whole thing is just keep the seat warm until the World Cup in Qatar is over and Xavi comes. Like, I feel like that's the inevitable culmination of all of this.
But are we to believe that Laporta isn't really totally sold on Xavi?
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much of it is that, and I don't know how much of it is potentially like the political stuff, because Xavi was Victor Font's guy, and Laporta didn't have the same. He didn't campaign on, I'm going to make Xavi the manager and kind of restore all the happy vibes and everything. So I don't know where Laporta stands, in his heart of hearts on Xavi as a manager. But I think by and large, I don't know if it's a consensus, but the prevailing opinion seems to be that Xavi is in line to do this. He's paying his dues and, doing his managerial work. It wasn't like a Frank Lampard or Andrea Pirlo situation where with minimal experience, they immediately were installed at, one of the biggest jobs in their home nation. So because the question also comes down to, if not Xavi, then who?
Yeah. Well, so let me just ask you. I mean, I'm gonna continue talking about this later in the week, and this story is not going to go away. It's September, and so until Ronald Koeman loses his job and he's replaced, this is going to be a talking point, because I think we have reached that point of no return. I understand why I would want a club legend like Ronald Koeman to get what he deserves, in that, like, I would want him to be treated fairly on his way out. I would hope that the situation with Quique Setien, because even though Quique Setien was completely underqualified for the job, the way in which that all ended was totally unfair to him personally. Yeah. And you could almost argue the same thing for Ernesto Valverde, where Messi and the team.
Oh, I do argue the same thing about Ernesto Valverde.
Yeah, he should have been let go. I mean, the prior summer. And so for Ron, I mean, there is a moment.
Or when they let him go, he should have gotten the rest of that season.
To do or that's what I'm saying. He either should have finished the season or had been let go the prior.
Right. Yeah.
Or the summer even before that, after the Roma, which would have been a
whenever. Yeah.
Yeah. But for Koeman, he needs to be relieved of his duties. And he knows it too. The way he speaks about the job, he understands that he's not in it for the long haul. He's not going to be managing this team to a Champions League victory. I've been saying it for a while now, but it is just September. And if he finishes out this season, boy, I mean, something has to happen. He's going to have to really change something around, or I don't know what needs to happen. The only thing that I can think of is Ansu Fati is apparently supposed to return against Levante. And if Ansu Fati comes back against Levante and somehow results change and results pick up when you have one of the top 10 best players under the age of 20 or 21 in your squad returning, and, this bright star who's been out for a year returns and galvanizes the team a bit, then it could basically keep him in his stead until January or June. And that means if the club finishes or looks like they're going to finish between second and fourth in the Liga table. And that is where expectations, I think, are pivoting to a little bit, because, I know Kool-Aids would love Eric Ten Hag, but again, that's not going to happen. And no one else on that list, even a Robert Martinez. I know, with Belgium, he's had this talent, but he never showed me anything at Everton. And other than being born,
he was
I don't know what makes him a favorite for this job, other than being born in Catalonia.
No, and that's kind of the thing. He's gotten phenomenal jobs, and I know he was, what was it? It was Wigan, right? Where he was like, they were great. I think they won the FA Cup, and
then he did well with Swansea City comparably as well too. They kind of parlay into the Everton job, but
but then from there, when he's gotten anything even resembling sort of bigger club and more resources and stuff like that, it's never felt like he's gotten, never mind, more than what you would expect out of the resources at hand. I mean, I don't even know if he's fully maximized the talent and the resources that he's had at hand, whether it was at Everton or, I mean, you could even argue with the Belgian national team, just what he's got. And I know he was a huge upgrade over, because I guess they hated Mark Wilmots, who was there before, but I don't know how he sort of gets a front row seat in all of these conversations. And I know he was born in Catalonia, but I mean, Ten Hag would be the sort of the ideal scenario, but I mean, he's not coming. It's just, I don't know why he would do that.
Yeah. The other thing you have to look at too, the other two big factors here, Emile, as we wrap the show up, is one, the price, because of the financial situation the club is in. The cost of getting rid of Koeman at this juncture apparently is anywhere between 12 and 14 million euros. When apparently in the court of law, the club still might owe Setien between 14 to 18 million euros based on the way that his contract was ripped up and thrown out the door, and he still owed money. So it could be the club, put itself more in a financial hole by paying a new manager and having to pay to get rid of Koeman. But part two of that is if he has lost the locker room, and that was my fear yesterday, that there have been people saying Koeman out since last January or last
practically day one.
Yeah, you're always gonna have a subset. They always wind up tending to be younger as well. So there's always a subset of the fan base who just, if you don't win every match by 8, it's Koeman out. You're done with him. But I got the sense yesterday in that game that we knew that Laporta wasn't always favoring, and he's not the biggest fan of Koeman. But if he's lost the players in that locker room, and not just the Los Amigos, not just the captains in Alba and Busquets and Roberto and the old, the sacred cows,
the old guard. Yeah.
If he has lost everyone in that locker room, if he has lost the locker room completely, then you can't move forward with him no matter what. Right. Because the only people that really need to be receptive to him are the people who, basically signed his checks and those who are listening to him to try to get results. And if he's lost them, regardless of what the fans think, if he's lost them, then we've lost the point. And now we're off the mark, and he's got to be replaced in some way. But unfortunately, Garcia Pimienta can't be an interim until the quote unquote right guy comes. But September, the third week of September is just an awful time to try to replace your manager, because everybody else has now gotten cushier jobs, or that coaching merry-go-round has stopped for the beginning of the season.
Right, because most people who got new jobs for this season, by and large, unless it has absolutely burst into flames right away, someone who started a job prior to this season, few of them are on the chopping block, and so any of the candidates that you might have been looking at last year who found a seat, they're not on the market right now. And then so you go to, what do we have in-house? Who's available in the market? Because also you don't have it's like you said, it's astounding that there's always some sort of new financial calamity around the corner, like the Setien thing. It's like every rock you look under, it's like there's a new 20 million euro liability. But so I think there's no one in-house that you can just simply promote. And who's currently looking for a job that you'd want to bring in? Objectively, Conte is the best coach. That would end in tears. And I don't even know. Where do you look? So, I think that works in, you kind of alluded to it, in that the situation is super dire, but the lack of alternatives, I think, artificially gives Koeman a little bit of job security.
Yeah. And the excuses he's making are, I have all these injured players. Yes. And even against Granada, I would have loved to use wingers in Dembele and Ansu Fati, but they weren't available to unlock that defense. That was the excuse he made. I broke down in the middle why I hate that excuse, but that was the excuse he made. He's saying, wait until I get my players back, because I didn't want missing Griezmann.
Look, that's literally true. And I do understand that it would be nice to see, it would be nice for everybody to be at full strength. It'd be nice to have the full strength squad and actually see if there is some sort of grand vision that Koeman has that would be unlocked if the full complement was there. The one thing is, you sort of alluded to it. Ansu needs to come back to save Koeman's job. And truly save it, and not simply we don't have anyone better. Ansu Fati needs to come back and almost just be a revelation.